actually was in the bathroom at the moment, and I came back to my classroom and I knocked on the door, and the fire alarm went off, and principal came on the speaker and just said, everyone needs to evacuate right now. So that's what we did. As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but he was trouble in middle school. So I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh. So that's really what happened.
You were walking down the hall. He had already fired at that time.
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be two shooters involved, I believe.
That's the first I've heard of that. Did you see any other students who were wounded?
No, sir.
24 hours into the tragic mass shooting in Florida at the high school there, we have eyewitness reports on video of seniors and students like Alexa Meadnick saying that she heard shots going off on the other side, down the hallway on the other side of the building, and then there was the reported shooter, Nicholas Cruz, that she knew, and she knew had been expelled the year before. And she said, boy, I'd expect you to be the person involved in the mass shooting, but she said it wasn't him, and that she could hear the shooting going off. I've already played that clip twice since the broadcast started 34 minutes ago. Then we've been contacted, and we've seen his ID. We've checked his social media. He is who he says he is. He's Jalen Martin. He is a senior. We can show you his YouTube channel. And Jalen Martin has reported to us that 4 weeks ago there was a Secret Service SWAT team drill at the school for some reason. He'd already asked why it was going on. And then he now has talked to the faculty and has some very interesting developments to go over. And I know, why is this so important? We're not saying the Secret Service, the local police, or anybody are involved in this. If there is a cover-up or multiple shooters, as witnesses are saying, credible witnesses. We're saying this because if they run drills, it's used by criminal groups who order the drill or who are able to use the drill as a cover for later operations. So many times false flags are accompanied by a drill before and generally on the day of. And Jalen Martin, a senior at Majority Stoneman Douglas High School, again, just about 40 minutes north of Miami, is joining us. But the context here is the background. KHOU, Matt Muzell, was in Florida covering the big baseball tryouts. He's the top sports reporter on KHOU, very respected channel, top channel in Houston. And we're now getting reports that other people said that there were shootings on both ends of the building going on. Now, just like Vegas, it turned out that top acoustics experts listened to the audio, and there were multiple shooters. And now they are looking into multiple shooters, and they admit there's been some type of cover-up. And there was this big Saudi Arabian military conference happening that weekend. And Paddock was a gun runner, and he had gone to the Middle East. We broke all that the day after, just like we're covering all this the day after. So I'm just setting the table there that we don't just go into things and say, oh, it's a false flag, oh, it's fake. Sometimes stuff is exactly like they say, and we are saying real people were shot. The media will, of course, say that I say no one shot. That's a hoax they always put out because they're fake news. They're also saying Trump blamed the victims. There's no such tweets, no such statements. CNN, MSNBC, they're all lying. So joining us for this segment, the next is Jalen Martin. We appreciate his courage, reaching out to us as a listener and getting us a student ID and all his info. And so here he joins us, senior at the high school. First, I want to give him my condolences for any friends he may have lost or what happened. So you've got the floor of this segment, the next, and longer if you need it, to talk about what happened, your view, the Secret Service, the SWAT drill, what faculty told you. Did you know or ever talk to Nicholas Cruz, the reported lone gunman, a.k.a. Tim McVeigh, a.k.a. Lee Harvey Oswald? I mean, did you talk? Did you know this fellow? Thank you for joining us, Jalen.
Yes, Alex. So I'd like to start off with saying I don't know Nick, but I've possibly seen him around. There's a lot of oddball people that you meet in high school. But I just want to jump into 4 weeks ago when the Secret Service stuff started happening. So it was sort of like a random thing. I think it happened like right after a weekend or something. The teachers, every single one of them was instructed to tell us like this is the drill, like where our zones were for each class. And, every single day they would tell us. And then I talked to one of my teachers. In fact, it was the same teacher that I ended up being with, yesterday when all of this went down. And he said that the Secret Service came and trained them on what the new safety protocols would be. And I don't understand why the Secret Service was, the ones who were doing it, because I would think that, firefighters or police officers would be the ones to do this. And so I kind of disregarded it. Fast forward to yesterday. We had a drill because regularly we have to have drills now because of, protocol thing. We had a drill in second period, 8, 9 or something like, or 9. It was like 9 to 10 to 11 or something like that. And then fast forward again to later in the day, we hear the fire alarm. Everyone was confused because we already had a fire drill today. Why was the fire alarm going off again? That's what everyone was like wondering. So we all just went outside. We stood there for like 1 minute. Within 1 minute, there were like 4 police cars there. My teacher was standing there because he didn't know what was happening. No one did. He thought it was a fire drill. And then eventually he was like, okay, let's go, because everyone was shifting fast. And I mean, there's like 3,000 kids there. Everyone was shifting away from the school. So within like the next 3 minutes, there had to have been like at least 50 cars there. I kept telling people around me, okay, this is not anything serious until I see a helicopter. And within like a few more minutes, I ended up seeing a helicopter. But I got reports from people around me. They were telling me, oh, this is a code black, which means bomb. That was the new thing that we learned. And then people were like, no, it's code red. It's code red, which means active shooter. So my friend took my phone from me, and he used it to call his mom because he didn't have his phone. He thought it was a fire drill. He was just going to leave it in the classroom. So he tried to call his mom. His mom answered, and he was like, Mom, there's an active shooter here. There's an active shooter. A teacher came up out of nowhere and said, don't tell her that. Be quiet. Don't tell anybody. And he was like, shut up. And the teacher walked up, snatched the phone away from him, and it looked like he was going to break my phone. I was like, no, that's my phone. He was like, don't give it back. Don't tell anyone. So after that, me and him, like, sped up and tried to, like, go through the crowd. Like, I've never been so congested with people before. At one point, I tried to, like, turn around and walk back to the school because I wasn't sure what was happening. And I sort of, like, felt inside, like, there's something wrong. What can I do to stop this? I was being pushed forward and pushed forward.
Excuse me, you're telling me that after it starts coming out that there's an active shooter, code red, you're overhearing all this, 50 police cars, a helicopter, you were pushed back in the school?
No. I was pushed away from the school.
Good. Okay, good.
To go back because I wasn't sure what was happening. And, other kids, there were like, 1,000 plus kids there. They're pushing me farther away from the school, so I didn't get to go back.
Oh, I understand. Well, that makes sense. Okay, continue, please.
Yeah. And then what happened was I let my friend, use my phone, and we tried to get away from the teacher, and he called his mom back, and he was like, Mom, there's an active shooter. There's an active shooter. And a second helicopter showed up. At that point, everyone started running. Like, people were tripping, and people were just trying to run away, and I didn't hear the gunshots, really, but I got told by someone that I talked to a little bit later that, there had to have been, like, 2 people, because he was like, I was in the building close to it, but I wasn't in the building that the shooter was in. that building that the shooter was in has 3 floors. So, you know, there's been reports that he had a gas mask and threw the smoke bombs down, and people heard explosions. That's what first tipped people off. They, like, sort of were confused because there was a fire alarm. And at that point, it's just like people sort of got chaotic once they, like, sort of kind of, like, knew what was happening. No one knew for sure because the teachers wouldn't let us call. I was, like, trying, like, really hard to get away from that one teacher. But people got out of there, and then I talked to my teacher last night afterwards, and I asked him, I was like, you said there were Secret Service agents here.
Jalen, oh my gosh, stay right there. We got to go to break. Jalen Martin, we're going to come right back and repeat what you just said. What I just think you just said. Wow. KPRC with witnesses of multiple shooters. Now, I knew I'd seen it in newspapers. Now we have KHOU. We have KPRC, a lot of Texas stations there because they were having baseball tryouts for some of the Texas teams there. And so a lot of Texas TV stations there talking to eyewitnesses are like, yeah, there's shots going off of here, over there. I saw the shooter while shooting was going on. She didn't have a gun. I mean, it's crazy. And I was just talking to Jalen Martin, who is a senior there. We've got a student ID. He's got a YouTube channel, Jalen Martin. He's just uploaded some videos now dealing with talking to some of the locals. So he's going to be uploading more videos today. So who knows, maybe he'll become a reporter for Infowars. But Jalen Martin laying on us, recapping what you said. You talked to friends that said they thought there were multiple shooters. The Secret Service had a drill there. Just other points. I was asking you, what are your friends? What are people you're talking to? Because school's out today. I'm just repeating what you told me during the break. And you said he's very easily led, kind of almost like autistic, that you give him to anything you wanted. That's why nobody was his friend, was because he obviously had some serious, saddening mental issues. This guy sounds like the perfect cutout, like Sirhan, if people know about what happened with the RFK. That was totally, the local coroners said that he was shot from behind, not from in front. Sirhan's arm was wedged on the table in the kitchen. He did not shoot Robert F. Kennedy. So that's a little bit of background. This is really getting bad, folks. This looks just like Vegas. So just recapping everything and the points you haven't made here, Jalen, because this is, and we've got new video on top of the other videos we're going to play as well of more eyewitnesses saying multiple shooters. Please continue. But you're saying you talked to witnesses that said the same thing. Please elaborate.
Yeah, I talked to a guy who had a class with him, and he said he was just really weird. He did everything that people told him to do. It was like he just wanted friends, but it was more like like there was obviously mental issues with this guy. And it was like, when he told me that, I kind of like thought to myself, okay, that makes sense in a way, you know? And it's like, when people are compliant like that, to that degree that he specified, there's so many things that they could do just from someone telling them to do it. We still don't know exactly why he did this. At least they haven't released why he did this. But I feel like whatever he says is not probably going to sound exactly right. So they're going to try to, cut around the story and make it sound, okay, he did this because someone didn't like him here and there. But he obviously had anger issues as well. I talked to another friend who has like interacted with him at his work at Dollar Tree, and she said that she interacted with him at his work because she accidentally left her stuff, and she came back to get it, and he was like, "Can I have your number?" And she said, "Yeah." So she gave him the home phone number, and then he tried to call, she didn't answer. And then he got her cell phone number. I don't know how this guy got her cell phone number. He doesn't talk to anybody out here. Not really, at least. So, in the context of that, I think there was something weird going on. He ran up to her the next time he saw her and went in her face to like F-U-B. And I'm sorry, I know this is a family show.
No, it's okay. So, very, sounds like the classic type that is shuttered, very insecure, somewhat autistic. And then doesn't understand normal human behavior, like you should invite her out to the movies or a restaurant or to get coffee or, the comic book store or whatever, or, go for a jog. Instead, when she doesn't answer right away, he flips out, It sounds like a video game TV head that never made real relationships, and very nihilistic from what we heard, into all sorts of stuff on the internet, left, right, and center. I mean, that's the MO we're getting, and so it could have been him as the shooter. I'm just zeroing in. Have you seen the video of senior there at the high school, Alexa Mednick, who says that she knew him and talked to him, and there he was as shots are going off, and that she thinks there were multiple shooters?
One more little interesting thing about that is he dropped the gun and blended in with all the crowd, and then left. If I had walked home, I just went to Starbucks because it's right there, and I waited for my mom to pick me up. But if I had walked home, I would have been walking beside him because he was caught literally on my street. And that's the thing about that is they were pillaging through, the school, and I heard that there were still shots after like 30 minutes or so. I heard there were still shots. I don't know if that was the police officers or what, but that's what I heard. And if that is true, then there's no way, because he would not. I know exactly how long it takes to walk to my house because I've walked this route for 2 years.
Sure, so you're saying the official story doesn't add up, and over and over and over again, we now know, you said you've been a listener a few years, we're talking during the break. I mean, Vegas now, they admit the official story's not true, and the guy was a gun runner. Well, we first got that from FBI sources the day after he'd gone to the Middle East. I mean, we're not saying we know exactly what happened. We're just saying we've been lied to, and credible sources are telling us that. What does your gut tell you is going on here, Jalen Martin, again, there at the high school, the majority Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida?
I think my gut's screaming at me right now. Look for whatever is happening, because what's happening, at least what they say is happening, isn't really all of it. I think that the Secret Service had some indication weeks ago that something like this was going to happen. So they decided, okay, we need to make up an escape plan for all these kids and stuff like that, just in case. But they didn't tell. I don't think they told the teachers either, because my teacher would have gave me some indication as to why. Because I asked him, why are they doing all this? Why is the Secret Service here? He was like, I don't know. And I asked him last night, did they have some indication that something might happen? He said they didn't explicitly say anything. So I don't think the teachers knew. My teacher would have at least hinted at it if he was told not to say anything. But this is like something you really don't expect to happen at your school.
Jalen, in your own words, because you got cut off by the last break, you were getting into your friends coming out, people that knew him as well, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Repeat what you were trying to finish when you talked about people that you talked to saying multiple shooters as well. As we have a lot of witnesses coming forward, more video clips coming up in the next segment of You'll Ride Shotgun with us a few more minutes. But just briefly, what specifically did your friends and classmates say they thought?
Okay, so they said that after the school was clear and everyone was, mostly gone, I think one of the people I talked to said they talked to, I can't remember her name, but the girl who's in that video who was like, there was multiple shooters. She said that he was with her, I think. And the weird thing about that is that she was with her, and then she heard the shots too. This is two people in the same place who heard these shots that obviously he couldn't have done. So I think there's all right,
Jalen, I know school's off today, but I know you're busy. And you've gotten in a windy spot. I know you're walking around outside. So let me put you on hold. If you can do 5 more minutes, I want to come back, try to get you in a spot where it's audible, and we're going to come right back to you. We appreciate your courage, but I want to get this clear. So I'm having trouble getting the last part. You're crystal clear, more articulate than I am, and most of my other crew around here. When your phone's clear, it's the phone that is being inarticulate here. So we're going to try to get to a spot where the wind is not blowing in the receiver. I'm going to get to...
It's really hard to tell exactly who I was talking to, but or who I was listening to, I'm sorry. But in terms of what my friends were telling me, I had a friend who I think she said she was walking with, the girl in the previous video who said there were multiple shooters. She basically was saying, like, she was walking with her, and it was impossible for there to have possibly been only one shooter, because she heard shots still while they were all walking, and, Nick was right there. So the whole thing just doesn't add up to me. That and the fact that the Secret Service decided to come and change the safety protocol a few weeks ahead, I think that's pretty suspicious. And one thing that I also want to say is, like the girl in this video just said, that there's only 2 exits. There's only 2 entrances. And those stairwells, they have cameras in them. They clearly should have saw them. If they don't have someone operating those cameras at all times, they don't need the cameras really in the first place. Because there are like 3 cameras in each stairwell. There's 2 stairwells, so that's like 6. And then within each hallway on each floor, there are like two cameras. So this is something they should have saw. I mean, they should have known, okay, this is this kid, and
well,
okay, I see him running up there.
Jalen Martin, stay there. We're back in 60 seconds because you know the school. You're saying exactly what this other young lady was telling local TV and national TV that they didn't decide to air, but a citizen shot video of the interview, thank God. I mean, this is incredible. What do you make of this latest development with what we were just breaking down?
I think this is, there has to be, like, for sure, a second shooter. I think they need to keep investigating that. They shouldn't just sweep this under the rug as some other, school shooting where there was a lone gunman and then everyone's up in arms saying, hey, we need gun control. Everyone needs to take the guns away. That's why I said, I was talking to this guy, near the school, and he was telling me, these teachers, they would be able to protect the students had they just had the ability to fight back. He said, when you have a gun and you're going against someone who's trying to shoot you, you're equalizing the balance of power. That's exactly what needs to happen, because you see there's a teacher laying on the floor in one video that I saw with blood everywhere, and the teachers and the students are walking out. This type of stuff could have been completely, maybe not stopped, but diminished quite a bit had a teacher had a gun in that building and been able to just shoot back and kill him. Kill him or wound him. And as far as new news coming out, I don't really know right now. I'm about to look up some more stuff and talk to more people. But my neighbor, she got shot, and she's in the hospital.
Wow.
I'm hoping she's okay. Yeah, because I noticed last night when I came home that her parents weren't there, and one of her brothers opened the door and was like, hey, she got shot. We don't know where she is, actually.
Well, Jalen, our prayers go out to everybody. You've already got a YouTube channel. Go shoot reports with witnesses, upload them. You can be an Infowars reporter right now. And let's get you on board. You're there. We appreciate your courage and your thoughtful coverage of all this. And so please get out there, interview as many eyewitnesses as you can, because you see multiple news channels not wanting to air the reports of multiple shooters, despite the fact that reporters are pushing for that. What do you make of that?
I think this idea of like hiding what is true and what is likely true is just something that has become normal nowadays. I think that once they are out there, they don't want to have to say something that contradicts what they've already said, because they don't want to have that fake news moniker, even though they've already taken it. They just might as well just go ahead and correct it and give the truth instead of trying to hide behind a lie and not make it seem like, hey, that we lied about something. I think what needs to happen is the truth needs to come out. They need to set it free. And I think when that happens, maybe the mainstream media will understand that, okay, maybe we can start telling the truth about some other things. All
right, well, Jalen, we're glad you and others survived. Our prayers go with you and all the wounded and the dead and, of course, the families. But, wow, we said the perfect false flag would be a white nationalist attacking a multicultural school as a way to make the leftists all look like victims and bring in gun control and a war on America's recovery. And now, right on time, what we've been warning.
Running through the hallway, I fell, and when everyone was getting shot at, some guy picked me up and threw me into a classroom.
You said you were on the 3rd floor? Did you see him at all?
When we were in the staircase, when he was shooting.
Wait, you were a freshman?
When everyone left, he was with someone. He was like blended in, right? That's what I heard.
Yes.
And no one like recognized him or anything like that? Hey, you want to tell me where you were?
Yeah,
like what happened?
Actually, I think it was 4:32 was Mr. Posada's class in the Florida building. And I heard the alarm go off again because I just came back from the bathroom. and I thought it was another fire drill, but we had one that same day, early in the morning. And when I got to the portables, I heard code red, so I knew that was for the gunman on campus or whatever, so I ran as fast as I could, jumped the gate, and ran home. It's very sad what happened, you know. I hope all the families are okay, you know. You can only do so much, but, you know.
All right.
Like I knew shots like when you got to the view.
What'd you hear?
Huh?
What'd you hear?
Like it was like I thought it was someone moving something heavy or some shit, but apparently it was gunshots. I found out later.
Yeah, I was in one of the portables.
Really?
I was like pretty far away, but I started to go back, but I got pushed away.
The freshman building,
Uh-huh.
the drama room. It happened next door.
It was shot like the loudest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.